So the shader editor is basically going to be where we spend most of the time during this course. So we're going to just take a broad look at this and figure out how this thing works. So starting up here in the top left, we have object view and we have world view. So world view is going to be our world tab up here. This is going to be our environment, primarily dealing with HDRIs. And then object view is going to be dealing with whatever is assigned to our object. So whatever we have selected here is going to be the insides of this material in here. So you can think of this as the result. This is as the input. Whatever this material output node is seeing is what's going to be plugged into here. You notice that we have here on this material output right here, we have surface volume displacement, and we have surface volume right there as well. So there is some quick properties, and you will see a little bit of overlap. To break this down better of what we can actually see in the properties bin, if we go over to our world right here, we can actually see most every property that we see in here within the properties panel somewhere. For example, if I go all the way down, strength right here, the strength is going to be the background node right there. And if I just start collapsing this, we'll slowly start to see that this goes in reverse order, right? So texture coordinates is going to be right here, texture coordinates. If I collapse that, we have our mapping, which is right here. If I have my mapping collapse, we see we have our texture right here. That's our texture right there. Collapse that, and then we have our hue saturation right there. Collapse that, and now we have our background node. So it's basically just a node-based view of the exact same thing that we can do in our properties panel. There is a lot of limitations that you can do here. Specifically, you can't like branch out and do two different trees very easily. So this is good for like basic things, but I would say 99% of the time I'm working inside of here. Now on top of that, I would say 99% of the time I'm working in object view, not world view. So we're primarily going to be working on our materials on our objects. So let's say you click on a material and you don't actually see anything in here. I'm going to exit this out to kind of mimic what that would look like. It would look something like this, where we just have a no material, a default material, and we have new here, we have new here. So if we just click this new button right here, we get a default node network. If you see some type here, right here, but you still don't see anything, you might actually be viewing this. So you can navigate around using middle mouse button like this. But if you ever get stuck like this, which does happen to me quite a bit, if you just hit your home key, it'll reset it. So it'll view everything in your node network. And if we zoom in here and kind of dissect what we're seeing here, we have our principled BSDF, which we'll be spending a lot of time with this node specifically. And we have our surface output. So the surface output is going to be whatever we plug in here is going to show up in these properties right here. But you can see these properties right here are also going to be showing up right here. So for the most part, we can start to kind of ignore what we see in here. We're primarily going to be working in here. The preview window is going to be showing what the output of this is. I don't really use this as well, just simply because I'll use the viewport itself. It's much more reliable. And to kind of move down here, we have things like view, we have the hotkey zoom in and out on our scroll wheel. That's just going to be in and out with the middle mouse. View all is going to be home. We already went over that. Those are the ones I primarily use. Select, I don't really find myself going in here much, but something that might be useful is just the find node option. You can kind of search for this here, and then boom, you can navigate to that really quickly just by doing find node. So add node, we're going to be spending a lot of time in here. The shortcut to get to this is going to be Shift A. So Shift A. I would say 99% of the nodes in here we're not going to use. Just using maybe like 7 nodes in here, you can probably get through the vast majority of this course. That doesn't mean necessarily that the rest of them aren't useful. I would just say the bulk of the results are going to come from a few specific nodes. So instead of trying to conquer all of these nodes and these fundamentals, we're just going to focus on the main ones to get the most results. A good place to start with this to kind of break down what we can see in here. If I just do Shift A and just click on search like that and just type in BSDF. Next up, we have the node menu. Honestly, I don't go in here much. These are just things for things that we can do like this, like disconnecting and that kind of stuff. Use nodes. If you turn this off, basically they're just going to give you a very basic properties here. So you only have like 3 or 4 properties. So if you want just a very basic shader, you can just turn that off. I don't really ever use that much. Slots, we've went over that already. And then all of this right here is a straight duplicate of what we already know how to use over there. Over here we have things like parent node tree. This button, basically if you're inside of a group in here, that'll get you back up. We're not going to get into that much at all. Snapping, so this will just snap it to the grid. I don't really use that much. And this is really just a way to control that snapping, which I don't use that much either. The one last thing that we do want to check out is going to be Node Wrangler, which we'll go ahead and enable. It's going to be a tool that will enable us to very, very quickly output a shader. So if we just go up to Preferences, and then we'll just go to Add-ons, we'll search for Node Wrangler. It should be already installed. It comes free, but it just, you have to kind of add it. And basically now what we can do is just use the hotkey. So let's just do a new principled shader. So I'll just do Shift-A. I'll do click search and I'll do principled. And now if I just do Control-Shift-Click, it'll automatically output that node. So our network's going to get kind of big, and that'll be just kind of a quick, easy way to output what we need to see. And that's that. In the next chapter, we'll start building out our networks.